Hi guys. Hey, I'm gonna do my morning headstand practice and I'd love for you to join me. I do have an early morning headstand practice and sometimes I slide right out of bed into my headstand. Sometimes I take my time easing my way into it. It is, when done first thing in the morning, it wakes you up, gets that circulation going, helps you create some balance for the day. And what I've found too is when I have a really nice morning headstand practice, that later on during the day, if I have stuff that's kind of in my way, confronting me, maybe intellectually or emotionally or something, I just think like, this is nothing. I just did this really beautiful headstand practice, and it helps to keep me centered throughout the day so you can face challenges joyfully. All right, so we're going to start in child's pose, and we're going to work up to about a 2-minute headstand today, but we're going to take breaks and build up slowly, and hopefully this system will help you increase the duration in your headstand practice, which will only lead to longevity in your headstand practice. Okay, we'll start in child's pose. Just to center, start to notice how the body moves as you breathe. So this is a breath I'll bring you back to as we move through our headstand practice. You can do this any time of day. It doesn't have to be first thing in the morning. So as you breathe, you can feel the belly press into the thighs maybe. Feel the ribs move out to the sides on the inhale. Maybe you're going to feel a little bit of movement in the low back area. That's great. There's this beautiful shape-shifting quality that the torso has with each inhale and each exhale. And then go ahead and push through the shins. Lift up to a tabletop position. Make sure you have enough space between the hands and the knees. You don't want to be like super close here. Move them out a little bit so you've got some room. And we're going to move through some of what I call a more dynamic cat-cow. So you're not just stretching. I want you to push into a round back because you're pushing down through the shins and the palms of the hands. So you push down and you'll notice that moves the back into a round position without even trying. So push down through the tops of the feet as well. This is really important. You could even play around with lifting the knees just by pushing down through the tops of the feet. And then we're going to come into that back bend shape, and I just want you to focus on pulling the chest forward, pushing the shoulder blades down, and then notice how that moves you into this back bend shape without even trying. You're pulling the chest forward. This is just how the body works. When you change the position of the shoulder girdle, the rest of the body has to follow along for the ride. It doesn't have a choice. It's how we're built. So a lot of ways to look at this. You could think about just bringing the gaze forward. You can pull the chest forward, push the shoulders down and back, and just notice what happens. Keep pushing them because that's going to keep that chest coming more forward. And then coming back into that round position from this, I want you to focus on moving the shoulder blades up and moving the shoulders up, down, and then you just magically end up in this more round shape. We're going to push the shoulders down and back again, pull the chest forward. The gaze is going to come forward naturally here. So we're really not just warming up, we're strengthening the rhomboids, strengthening the traps, getting into that shoulder girdle, preparing it for the headstand. In a headstand practice, there is very little to no weight on the head at all. One more round position here. Push down. And then start to bring the gaze forward. Pull the chest forward. Shoulders down and back. Should feel awesome. As you're pulling the shoulders down, actually actively start to pull the hands toward the knees, and that gives you even a little more oomph. Perfect. Come back into kind of a neutral position here. Tuck the toes, and we'll come into down dog. In your down dog, let the shoulders move up and around the ears. And then walk the hands and the feet toward each other. Keep the feet hip width apart, and we'll hang out here in a forward fold. Already a couple of inversions that we've done here. An inversion is defined by the head being below the heart. So we did down dog, now we're in this position. So just getting the body into that inversion state of mind. Not stretching, not warming up, just getting into our centered, focused place for our headstand practice. Come back to the breath here and notice how the body moves as you breathe. Good. And then come back onto the knees, sit on the heels for a moment. Take a couple of breaths here. So in a headstand, I said a couple of minutes ago, there's little to no weight on the head, and it's true. So if you're new to headstand, you can even do this practice with me. This isn't an advanced pose. There are so many modifications that makes it relevant and accessible to literally everybody with every level of experience, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is interlace the hands. If you normally measure your elbows like that, don't do it anymore, because you might want your elbows a little more in or a little more out, and you will find that out naturally as you move through your practice and gain more experience in it. You might find that you want the elbows a little bit wider, which is fine. So interlace the hands, come right onto the top of the head, lift the hips. You don't have to walk the feet in super close. This isn't about flexible hamstrings. Now I've got all my weight on the head here. Thumbs go up toward the back of the neck. And then I'm going to lift and lower my head 20 times. So not moving like this, straight up and down just by pushing down through the forearms, okay? Keep the shoulders up and away from the ears. Push down, and that lifts the head up, and then you're just barely touching the floor with the head. If this is new and you find it challenging, this is great. It'll build the strength you need for headstand. And then go ahead and bring the knees down. You can come into child's pose or just sit on the heels again. Take a couple of breaths. Nice. So in a long headstand practice, you want to be able to lift and lower the head while you're in it. That's what builds the endurance. Not strengthening the neck necessarily, but to be able to push down, use the entire shoulder girdle, develop that kind of strength. So you take weight off of the head. That is what builds the endurance in your practice, which leads to longevity. So let's go ahead and come into that position again, and we'll do the next step that I do. I do this every day. This is challenging if it's new to you. It's kind of easy for me, but I still do it every day because it gets me into that headstand state of mind. Come on back into that position, lift the hips, and just take one leg up. We're going to lift and lower. Now in this, my head, there is no weight on my head. Keep the shoulders up and away from the ears. It's good to land softly. So you're teaching the body how to land softly. You can do this on both sides. You're just shifting the pelvis, nice and light. You can hop a little bit, but land softly. Resist the temptation to come all the way up into your headstand and to bring the feet together. It's just not where we are yet. Remember, imagine it's 5 in the morning. All right, so we're just easing our way into this. Now, if you feel uncomfortable without a wall behind you, do this with a wall behind you. It's that simple. But I want to emphasize the fact that we are not putting a lot of weight on the head. If you do like a wall behind you, then let's turn that around and use the wall in front of you instead so that you can actually get into this position here. And this is a great position to lift and lower the head as well. And then you're not trying to balance, coming off the wall and freaking out. Keep one foot on the wall and just lift and lower the head. Or not. This will make you really strong doing that, okay? All right, so if you have the wall to your back, or if you're going to walk a foot up the wall, keep that foot on the wall. And if you're in the middle of the room, we're going to come into about a 30-second headstand now. So nice and light. Push down and inhale as you lift up. Keep the shoulders up and away from the ears. And breathe. When you come down, nice and light. Take a moment in child's pose. It's so good. All right, so we're going to come back into our headstand here, and we'll stay for about a minute. And again, no pressure. This is really about noticing the breath while you're in this position. So that's what we're going to focus on here. This is what turns your inversion practice into a meditation. Just noticing how the body moves as you breathe. Now you can time yourself. You know what 30 seconds is, and you know what a minute is, because that should be about 6 breaths. One breath in an asana practice could be about 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale-ish, and then you've got a little bit of space in between each side. And if you're looking for that kind of instruction, I've got lots of other videos on breathing in asana. So you've got a nice long inhale, nice long exhale. Lots of space between each side, okay? So when you get really comfortable with that breath, you can know how long a minute is because it's about 6 breaths, maybe 8. All right, so we're going to go ahead and come into our next headstand. Use whichever position you want here for support, the wall in front of you or the wall behind you, or no wall at all. All right, No weight on the head, really. Touching down light. You don't have to force yourself to lift up with both legs at the same time. That pushes the majority of the population out of good shoulder position. So I just like to lift up like that. Shoulders up and away, always focused on going through that checklist. Push down through the forearms. Keep the shoulders up and away. Not a lot of weight on the head. Breathe. Keep the legs active. All right. We'll get into a soft leg position in a minute. Nice and soft. Relax the jaw. Lengthen the breath. Push down, shoulders up, always going through those little reminders. Soft breath. Shoulders up. And one foot or both feet at the same time. Nice and light. Take a few breaths in, child's pose. I love it. It feels so good. If you feel where we are in this, just a short practice already, feel more grounded, more present, more centered. Okay, so this time we're going to go into a longer headstand, maybe a minute and a half. That last one we did was about a minute. So maybe a minute and a half, maybe a little bit longer. And this time we're going to just experiment with soft legs. I love doing this. It helps me focus on my shoulder girdle without creating too much tension or being too rigid in my headstand. You want a soft belly. A lot of people say, "Oh, must have really good core strength." Well, but you don't need core strength for headstand. So what you need is an intact shoulder girdle. That's what you really need. And body awareness and being conscious. That's what you need. You don't need core strength. So we're going to soften everything. That's what's going to also allow you to get into it gracefully is by softening the low belly and allowing the pelvis to move. So while we're up here, I'll walk you through it. We're going to go ahead and get into our headstand. No weight on the head. All right. And then I just want you to just focus on the shoulders. If you're at the wall, you can just maybe put one foot on the wall like this, or just soften. Just soft legs. Draw the belly in and up. So when you're upside down, that means in and up toward the ribs. Push down through the forearms. That's where all the work is. Little weight off of the head. Shoulders up and away from the ears. Soft legs. It might feel weird. It might feel like, oh, I didn't know I didn't have to be so tense, right? It's good. Just going to hang out here. Nice and soft. No pressure to perform. No pressure to stay in this with me. You can come out at any time. Just push down, Lift the shoulders up and away from the ears. Take that little bit of weight off the head and breathe. So good for your circulation. In traditional Chinese medicine, there's a practice that says if you do these deep ankle circles every morning or at least every day, you'll never have a heart attack. So like, why not do it while we're upside down? Deep circles, I love doing that. Maybe one more deep breath here. Good. Now check in here. Come out with intention. Maybe one foot down or both feet at the same time. Come into child's pose. You can always stretch your arms out. If I do that, it kind of messes with my mic, so I just end up in this position. Calming, grounding, centering. Really nice. Now you'll notice that I am having you come into your headstand with straight legs. I am opposed to the knee tuck and then coming into your headstand. I feel like it is an achievement-based approach. I'd rather you use the wall with your foot on the wall, lifting a leg up, or the wall behind you. If you come into a headstand with knees tucked, it takes a lot of experience to then shift the pelvis and straighten the legs and hold on to that integrity in the shoulder girdle. And usually what happens is people tend to walk so far past their integrity point in a headstand if they're bringing the knees in because they have some idea that you have to do it this way. Well, you don't. If you're walking the feet in so close, what happens to my shoulders? Maybe my knees go here and I feel like, oh, I'm good at headstand. But I have to do so much correction to get into my good position and to take the weight off the head. That puts all of the weight on the neck. And I don't want you to do it like that. I want your headstand to go the distance. And so do it like this. Foot on the wall, wall behind you. I'm going to show you how to use the wall behind you effectively. We'll do another long headstand here. Let's go for our 2-minute headstand. All right, this is great. This is a drill we also do in handstands. We call it twinkle toes. So you just want the wall about your shin length away, not too close. Right about here. And then maybe just a toe. There's no pressure to balance and switch legs. Just keep a toe there. Push down, no weight on the head. You can switch. Soften the belly. Reach up through the top foot. Doesn't matter where your feet are, if they're on the wall behind you or the wall in front of you, and you're in this shape, it is a headstand. And I'd rather you take 20 years to learn this pose instead of messing it up. I'd rather you take 20 years to learn headstand so you can practice it for 70 instead of getting into that neck with no integrity and then not wanting to do headstand anymore. So just breathe nice and calm.
I have to remind myself, shoulders up and away, push down. Keeps you present. This is the best meditation there is. Nice and light. No weight on the head, push down. Shoulders up. It's so easy to just end up like this. So you really have to concentrate. And that's all meditation is. This is your morning meditation. Go ahead and start to bring one foot down. Take a couple of breaths in, child's pose.
Bring the torso up. Swing the legs around to the front. Lie on your back. Just take a minute or two here in Shavasana, corpse pose. Feel energized and awake and alive. Circulation strong. I hope you love it.